Hello everyone, my name is Heather and welcome to the channel Bookables. Today I'm here to do another recent reads video where I'm going to share with you 4 books that I've read somewhat recently, meaning this month, in the month of July. Tell you what they're about, what I liked about them, what I didn't like about them, and their rating. As always, they will be spoiler free and there will be timestamps down below in case you want to hear about one particular book over the other. The books I will be talking about today are The Lost Story by Meg Schaefer, 5-Star Weekend by Ellen Hildebrand, Remarkably Bright Creatures by Shelby Van Pelt, and It Had to Be You by Elijah Jane Bergier. So we have a myriad of genres today, so we got a lot to choose from. Let's get into it. So first up, we have The Lost Story by Meg Schaefer, and dare I say, this was like in my top 5 anticipated releases of this entire year because, if you don't know, she wrote her debut novel last year, The Wishing Game, which was my favorite book of the year. So needless to say, I was very much anticipating The Lost Story. I need to buy a physical copy still, but I don't have it quite yet. Let me just start with my rating. I gave it a 4 out of 5. And yes and no, I'm bummed about it because it wasn't a 5. And, you know, it breaks your heart a little bit, especially when you have a book that was like your favorite of last year. And so you're very much excited for the author's release this year. And it just didn't quite live up to it. And that's exactly my, I guess, downfall of this book, was it didn't quite live up to The Wishing Game for me. So this whole book is like fantasy. So her first book, The Wishing Game, was very much inspired by Roald Dahl's Charlie and the Chocolate Factory, or Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory. I forget. Either way, it was very much inspired by that, and I loved it. This one is very much inspired by C.S. Lewis's Chronicles of Narnia, The Lion, Witch, and the Wardrobe, and I could definitely see the parallels with that. But it just didn't live, it just wasn't it for me. So this book, we follow 3 different characters, and it's very hard to explain, so please bear with me. So basically, the book starts off, I want to say, many, like 30 years ago, these 2 teenage boys, Jeremy and Rafe, if I'm saying that right, go missing in the Shenandoah State Park, I believe, or forest or some of that in West Virginia. This book is very much based in West Virginia and is very much kind of a love letter to West Virginia, which I enjoyed because I live in Virginia, so it's like a sister state, obviously, and I love seeing that because I do think West Virginia gets a lot of bad rep with things, and every state does, really. But anyway, they go missing for 6 months, and then they just show up out of the blue one day back home, and nobody knows exactly what happened to them or anything. Now we flash forward to many moons later. They are fully grown adults. Jeremy is now he can help find girls that have gone missing, dare you say, gift with that. And then he meets Emily, who Emily has lost. She has just lost her mom recently, and through that she was adopted, and she learns that she has a half-sister she never knew she had, and her sister went missing in the same state park Jeremy and Raph went missing 30 years ago. And she's like, can you just help me find her body? I need closure, but I have a feeling she's still out there. And Jeremy's like, yes. And so he goes to Raph, who they've been estranged ever since they got back from this, I guess, 6 months of being lost. And the whole story, but the time for burying secrets comes to end as the quest for Emily's sister begins. The former lost boys must confront their shared past, no matter how traumatic their memories. Alongside the headstrong Emily, they must return to the enchanted world. There we go. They call home for 6 months. Only then they can get back everything and everyone they've lost. Okay, so I didn't want to spoil it, but basically they went to an enchanted world for the 6 months. Kind of like Narnia, you get what I'm saying here? And so that's what kind of the whole book is about. Them trying to figure out how exactly to get back to this world. Is Emily's sister involved in this? About Jeremy and Ray's relationship, how they don't talk anymore, and will this rediscovering of this world help with that? And it kind of goes from there. I think I really enjoyed the first half of this book much more than the second half. I don't think it's spoiling any say. The first half is when they're really talking about trying to find this world, gearing up for it, memories of it. And the second half is them going into this world, which I thought I was going to love, but it just wasn't it for me. And the ending, I also just wasn't how it all came to be. It was interesting, I'm not going to lie to you, but I just didn't feel a love for it like I did with The Wishing Game. I do think this one's much more based in romance, which maybe could be, I don't want to say it's like its downfall. Jeremy and Raph have a very tumultuous relationship. You can clearly see shared history, things like that. The Wishing Game, I don't think really focused on romance, more as it focused on a relationship between like a mother and son, which I really, really adored. So I don't know if that's also a reason. Either way, it wasn't it for me. Now, that's not to say I didn't enjoy it. Meg Schaefer has some beautiful writing. She is very great with vivid descriptions and her setting. I felt like I was in West Virginia, in Shenandoah. I swear, if I'm wrong on that, I'm very sorry. Park, and I just really loved that aspect, and it was overall really good. I did really enjoy it. I'm not gonna say like don't read it. I did really like it. It just wasn't The Wishing Game, and it didn't have an impact on me as much as The Wishing Game did, if you get what I'm saying here. So overall, I give it a 4 out of 5. I did really enjoy it, and I will always continue to read Meg Schaefer because her writing is just beautiful. I love that she's doing these odes to kind of classic children's fiction and making them into her own. I think that's an awesome idea. So I really, enjoyed it, even though it wasn't quite 5 stars for me. It was pretty good, and I would recommend it. Moving on to a completely different genre, we have like adult beach read, and that is The 5-Star Weekend by Ellen Hilderbrand. This is my very first Ellen Hilderbrand book. If you don't know, she has now hung up her hat on writing beach reads, and for some reason with that, I was like, I should probably check her out, and I feel like I should have done that years ago. I'm actually mentally beating myself up for that, but nevertheless, here I am, and I started with like one of her later published ones, but I really like this one. Also, again, a 4 out of 5. So this book, we follow a myriad of characters, but basically at the center, we have a character named Hollis, and Hollis is in, I want to say like her mid-50s maybe, and she has a very popular cooking blog and cooking kind of thing, like Cooking with Hollis, I think, and her marriage is not going 100% the best, and her husband is Matthew, and then she learns that he gets in a car accident and tragically passes away, and Hollis is very just grief-stricken with things. She's have a very tumultuous time with her daughter, and she just doesn't kind of know where to go, and so she hears about this thing called the 5-Star Weekend, where this woman who also went through the same kind of thing where she lost her husband invited 4 of her best friends through different parts of her life to come have a weekend together, to reconnect, to reminisce, to kind of patch things up. And so that's exactly what Hollis does. So who does she invite? She invites Tatum, who is like her childhood high school best friend, and then she invites like her college roommate, who was her best friend obviously. Then she invites like her, when her kids were, when she had her daughter, she had like, mom friend, she invited her, and then she invited this brand new woman she met on her website, and she first felt a very good connection with. So they all kind of go to Nantucket, which is, by the way, where all of Ellen Hilderbrand's books take place, is Nantucket. They all go to her Nantucket home and have a weekend, and it is full of drama because a lot of these women don't like each other, and oh my goodness. Like Tatum, and I want to say her name was Drew. Yeah, Drew Ann. Like one of them's the high school best friend and one of them's the college best friend, and they are all just vying for Hollis's attention and love. And I'm like, oh my gosh, what is like, Hollis is great, but like, what's the big freaking deal about this? Like, it's like, I'm her best friend. No, I'm her best friend. I'm like, you can have multiple best friends, people. Like, I feel like I learned that lesson in my like early 30s. You don't need to be learning that in your freaking 50s, but that is just me. You have different friends in different circles, and that is how it goes. I don't know why it took them forever to learn this, but either way, they have a lot of drama going on. There's also a lot of drama with this brand new woman. I forget her name because I am just Gigi. There's a brand new girl named Gigi who nobody really knows about, and there's a lot of drama and mysteriousness about her that I don't want to say because it does kind of tie in. And then we have Brooke, who was like the mom friend, who, that poor girl, I felt so much like her. She just wanted to be liked. She just wanted people to like her and to be involved, that she always felt like an outsider. And I was like, it's me. Hi. Where you try way too hard and everyone's like, you're trying way too hard. And you're like, I know, I'm horrible. I felt like I was reading about myself. I don't feel like that I'm like that anymore, but I feel like I very much used to be that. Somewhat in the past like years or so. But either way, it's all about that. We also have Caroline, who is Hollis's daughter, and honestly is a jerk. I hated her so much. She was like this young 20-year-old girl. She's obviously coming for rich, and she's like wants her mom to pay for everything, but she's also really mad at her mom because her dad died and her mom was never there or something like that, or mom cared about her blog more. And then finally she realized, oh, my mom is pretty good, and she was a good mom, and she was always there. I was like, she was just, I don't know if I'm the only one that thought that way, but she was a horrible kid. I'm just gonna say that. She was horrible. But either way, I enjoyed this. If you just want a fun beach read that really dissects friendships and the drama that kind of entangles them, all while having a beautiful Nantucket setting, check this one out. 4 out of 5. Moving on to another completely different genre, into more of like, I guess, the literary fiction, and that is Bright Remarkable Creatures. Oh, Remarkably Bright Creatures by Shelby Van Pelt. I never had any interest in this book, and then finally I was like, I should probably check it out, and I'm so glad I did, because I loved it. This book is very interesting in the fact where it's not really about much, and sometimes I really connect with those books and sometimes I don't. For example, we have Evie Drake Starts Over, which is one of my favorite books. I don't think it gets a lot of love, but it's really not about a lot, but I just loved it. It's more of like a character dissection, if you will. Sorry. But this one is kind of the same. So in this book, we follow a character named Tova, who is 70, and she recently lost her husband. She also lost her son when he was 18. He went out on a boat and he never returned. I'm guessing he drowned or something. And so she's got a lot of grief in her life. She also works part-time at the local aquarium. This is like set near Puget Sound, like kind of Seattle, Washington area. And it's a very small aquarium. She does the maintenance, like she does the cleaning every night where she'll mop and wipe things down. And she always like, you know, looks at the fish and things like that. And then she kind of befriends the Pacific giant octopus named Marcellus. Hopefully I said that right, as you can see on the cover. And she starts talking to him, and you also get his point of view, which is just so fun. If you don't know about octopus, I don't know how to say like the octopus, I don't know how to say like the plural thing of that. Octopuses? I don't know. But if you don't know about octopus, they are very, very smart. Like they are very intelligent. Like you can give them a puzzle, they can open things. I mean, look at they have a huge brain. And so it doesn't surprise me at all that they had a point of view for Marcellus. Like he can escape his tank. He would go in other tanks to like snack, if you know what I'm saying. And he would like go down the hall, and he has a very good relationship with Tova, and he can see things that maybe she can't see. And so we have that going on. We also have another character, I forget his name, Cameron, who is young, and he was abandoned when he was younger by his mom, and he's trying to figure out who his dad is, and it all connects in the end. But basically that's what it's about, is a woman that is going through grief, that befriends an octopus, that works in an aquarium, that has a lot of other things going on, and it is just a beautiful book. But it's just about grief and the many forms of not just losing someone, just grief in general, of life, of things like that. It was just beautiful. It doesn't have a crazy heavy plot. It's more about characters and their journey through life, and I loved it. One of my favorite books of the year. I'm so glad I finally picked this up. I'm beating myself that I didn't pick up earlier, but you know, there's just a book for you at every juncture in your life, I feel, and this was a great book to read right now, so 5 out of 5. Loved it. And the last book I'm talking about today is a mystery thriller, and that is It Had to Be You by Elijah Jane Brazier. And again, I really enjoyed this one. I would give it a 4 out of 5. This one is a little bit different than I was expecting. It's very much pitched as a Mr. and Mrs. Smith, which I agree. 2 contract killers, each with a hit out on the other, must fight their growing attraction as they face off in an epic game of lust and murder across Western Europe. So basically at the beginning of this book, Eva and Jonathan meet on a sleeper train. They are immediately attracted to each other and hook up, and they don't see each other ever again. Then little do they know, they're both assassins. And so now 6 months later, Eva gets her next assignment, and what do you know, it's to kill Jonathan. And so she has to, before she can kill him, her job is just recon first, to get to know him, to figure out his weaknesses. So she does, and then she starts falling for him. And then what do you know, a hit comes out on her, and Jonathan accepts it. So basically this whole book are kind of going between lust and also like, I'm gonna murder you. It was interesting. It was a lot more steamier than I expected or anticipated at all. Like, it was very steamy, and I was like, I was kind of shook by that. I didn't love that part in this book, but I have to say there was many twists and turns. I enjoyed it. I enjoyed their banter. I enjoyed their knowledge of being, dare I say, assassins. It was a fun time. If you just want a fun mystery thriller of the will they, won't they kill each other, literally, or will they hook up? You never know. This is a great one, and I don't want to say much more about it because it's just a fun one. I would recommend it if you just want not as dark, kind of dark because they both were contract killers for goodness sakes, but just fun and just guessing, trying to figure out what exactly is going to happen with these characters. I really liked it and wasn't expecting to like it as much as I did, so 4 out of 5, honestly. Sorry for the short review ever, but with mystery thrillers, you have to go into them not knowing as much. At least that's my opinion. So there you have my thoughts and feelings on these 4 recent reads that I have read recently. I would love to know if you've read any of these, what your thoughts are on them, or if you're going to read them or not. Please let me know. As always, thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in my next video. Bye.